This is Mike and Samantha. They have been together for 6 years and were high school sweethearts. If you haven't already assumed, they just got married. This is Sabash and Priyanka, and they also just got married, but this is their first time meeting one another. They are from India and had an arranged marriage. When most Americans picture marriage, they imagine the image to the right. We commonly associate marriage with love. When imagining the marriage on the left, this is not what we feel. Instead, we feel a discomfort and a lot of pity. We as Americans do not see an image of marriage, but instead see an image of oppression. While we feel and see many things different about both marriages, we do not think of the difference of culture. Americans get married for love, so we assume that this is the universal reason of marriage, but it's not. In Indian culture, marriage is more of a societal activity aimed at forming an alliance. The bond is not just between the bride and the groom, but is considered as a bond between both families as a whole. Today, I will be talking about Indian arranged marriage, and starting off, I would like to show you the book definition of arranged marriage. By book definition, arranged marriage is a marriage planned and agreed to by the families or guardians of the bride and groom who have little or no say in the matter themselves. The American perception of arranged marriage is full of misconceptions and lack of factual knowledge, so in hopes of changing your view on the subject, I'm going to walk through the steps of arranged marriage and address the misconceptions associated with them. While listening to my presentation, I would like you to use this general definition as your only knowledge of arranged marriage and allow yourself to start with a blank slate. The first misconception that Americans usually have about arranged marriage is that it is not a choice. They think arranged marriage is forced onto the Indian people by either their government or their parents. But this is not the case. To have an arranged or love marriage is completely decided alone by the Indian brides and grooms involved. Once this choice is made and the legal age of marriage is reached, the process of arranged marriage begins. The first step of Indian arranged marriage is the broadcast of availability, in which the parents announce they are ready for an alliance and start the search for a bride or groom for their child. They usually go to Indian matchmakers, make newspaper postings, go to online arranged marriage sites, and attend social conventions. The things usually considered when finding a match are family background, economic position, general character, and family reputation. Another common misconception is that the bride and groom walk into their wedding day with no clue who it is that they are about to marry. This is completely invalidated by the second step of arranged marriage process, which is the information exchange. Before this step, yes, the bride and groom do not know what the other partner looks like. But during this step, not only are pictures and sometimes videos exchanged, but also, if in agreement, one or more face-to-face interviews are arranged. During this step, you will see the parents conducting background inquiries through relatives and friends, which is mainly aimed to learn about their past and become aware of any bad habits that that possible partner might have. Another misconception is that Indian arranged marriages are nothing but a business deal. This idea comes from the belief that the last deciding factor before the bride and groom are engaged is the exchange of dowries. Dowries are contracts stating what each family is willing to give the other that has monetary value. While the final step before the engagement are negotiations of things relating to money, dowries were made illegal in India by the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961, which established that to give, take, or demand a dowry is an offense punishable by imprisonment and fines. The third step is the negotiations, and this is when the logistics of the marriage are discussed, like who pays how much for the wedding expenses, the gold, the jewelry, girl and boy's net worth, and the house they live in once they're married. Once everything is discussed and agreed upon, the engagement is made official. The final misconception I'm going to discuss is the assumption that the bride and groom go on and live their life in a miserable and loveless marriage and are more likely going to end up divorcing. While this is a reasonable assumption, we can look at studies and see that this is not the case. India has one of the world's lowest divorce rates at about 1%, and it estimates that roughly 85 to 90% of all marriages are arranged marriages. Also, in a study done over a decade of relationship outcomes among Indian and American couples married through free choice or arranged marriages found no difference whatsoever. It showed that those in arranged marriages were just as satisfied with their marriage and loved their partner as intensely as those who wed through free choice. So while you may now be informed on the process, you might still be confused and might be asking yourself, why would someone choose to do this? Jnana, an Indian woman, wrote her story and said why arranged marriage was what she wanted for herself. She said, "Our parents know us as adults, so they're able to find the right guy. Besides, it's convenient. It's too much trouble to find the right person. I don't want to take responsibility of choosing a man when I'm only 25 years old." Now that you have more knowledge of Indian arranged marriage, are there any similarities between Americans' love marriages and arranged marriages? Are there some things about arranged marriage that make them better than Americans' marriages?